Okay, so I'm talking to Tony Crossley, who's an aircraft engineer for the RAF. Right, so there's your job title. Tell me what it involves. What's the job?
So as an aircraft engineer, predominantly I specialise in avionic engineering. So that would be all the aircraft's electrical systems, radar, communications and weaponry, making sure it's all serviceable. Maintenance is carried out every so often, calendar days and flying hours. As with a car, things degrade over time, so it's replacing components, making sure from an AV's perspective the aircraft is operational at all times, basically.
Right, fantastic. And are you uniquely based in the UK, or do you travel overseas?
I've been based. You as an aircraft engineer, you're based in the UK predominantly, and then you'll go on deployments with your flight or squadron around the world, doing different operations depending on what the role your aircraft is doing, and where command want you to go and do. So currently I'm at RAF Marham in Norfolk, working with the Lightning Force Protection, which is the new F-35 jets we've just bought from the Americans. So very exciting. I was previously on rotary wing, so on the Lynx and the Wildcat for 7 years, before moving over to the fast jet, which is a completely different ball game.
Imagine, yeah.
I'm getting used to, but a lot more exciting, obviously a lot faster, a lot heavier, firepower. So yeah, it's been really good. Gearing up to a big world tour this year, so I can't say too much, but in April we're deploying with the US Marines onto the Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier, and basically going over to Asia for 8 months, with a huge array of ships and submarines to carry out operations out there. So yeah, it should be very interesting.
Interesting 12 months coming up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, bit of a daft question in a way, but what would you say is a typical day? I mean,
the thing with the military is
there's no such thing as
it's a hard one to answer that, because another reason why it's so good, I guess, is you don't really get similar days. Not one day can ever really be the same. You go in, you're flying different jets, they're doing different operations. Obviously on deployment, you travel into different places, you're working with different navies, air forces, armies. When you're back at home, it's a bit more ordinary. You tend to go in a Monday to Friday, you get your weekends off, and you'll be flying the jets, servicing them, maintaining them, and keeping them serviceable for the pilots to stay in date for their currencies. That's your normal day-to-day stuff. Will be going in, servicing the jets, doing any replenishments that need doing, and then obviously sending and receiving them when they go on their day-to-day flying operations. That's about as normal as it gets.
I was going to say, it's like no such thing as a typical day.
You never know when a jet will land on, and something's gone wrong. We had one last week where the undercarriage didn't deploy, so the aircraft was just doing loops, and we had to figure out how we could get the undercarriage to deploy so it could land. Yeah, situations like that arise quite often, but yeah, we've got a great team in place, and
you managed to land it safely though.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
that's a relief. Otherwise you'd have gone grey overnight, I expect.
Yeah, it was a stressful few days, but we managed it.
I bet it was. In terms of how you've got to where you are now, and I suppose the knock on of that would be kind of advice to pupils that we teach at school.
Sure.
What would be a normal kind of route into becoming?
So I studied as normal. I got all my GCSEs done. I didn't pursue A levels. I went travelling for a couple of years, and that was when I really found my love for travel. And for what job can I do that involves a lot of travel, and this great career path. that will keep me educated and gain qualifications as I rise through the ranks. And obviously military was a great opportunity. I joined the Navy because of the travel aspect. My uncle was in the Navy many years ago, so he had a keen push on that. So essentially all I needed was the 3 A to C's in maths, English, science. If you were looking to go into as a more official position, as a lieutenant, commissioned officer, you would then need to go on and do A levels before you joined up.
Right. So there's the 2 options. You could do it after GCSE or go on and do A levels, or
do A levels and then do officer. Yeah. If you did want to pursue officer later on, like myself, you can do it within the forces. So there's that opportunity. Just because you haven't done your A levels doesn't mean you could never go on and be an officer. You just need to get into the forces first before you can get them steps rolling, really. Yeah. So.
Right, fantastic. Because there are a number of people that we teach who are interested in armed forces careers, so it's interesting to see what the routes are. I mean, what would you say is the best part of your job, or is there any best part?
The best part for me is working with different forces around the world, seeing how they operate. Not so many months ago, I was on the flight deck with 10 US Marine jets. We had 8 of ours. We had 4 Merlins, 6 Wildcats, and we were out in the Indian Ocean at 4 in.the morning with the sunrise coming up. Jets landing on, taking off, and it's this really surreal moment that you're actually stored on this great huge ship in the middle of an unknown sea. With all these amazing teams and countries around you, doing something you'd never imagined was possible. So yeah,
sunrise on the Indian Ocean's not a bad way to start the day, I guess.
Yeah, it was nice. It was
fantastic.
Likewise, I've worked for squadrons where we work with the Royal Marines, and we did 3 months in Norway. But to prepare for working in Norway and the extreme temperatures, we did what was called an Arctic warfare course, which involved 2 weeks of yomping around Norway mountains in the minus 25 degrees, learning how to survive, doing like icebreaker drills and stuff like that. So I think the variety and the versatility of your training that you receive is one of the more fun parts of the job, really, getting to do all this different stuff that you didn't think you could do. Keeps it really fresh, keeps it interesting. There's lots of different paths you can choose to go down, depending on RAF, Army, Navy, very different forces, but all of them have their own opportunities and challenges you can face. So
Fantastic. I mean, just in terms of your role and your team, I suppose. I mean, how many people are in a team when it comes to kind of the engineering?
Depending on what you do, it's a hard question to answer. If you kind of a frontline maritime squadron, we have what's called a flight. So within a flight, you'll have your pilot. So it could be 3 or 4 pilots, and then it comes down the rank structure. You'll have a chief, 2 POs, 1 mechanical and 1 avionic, 2 lean hands, mechanical, and avionic, and then you have your 3 what we call lads. So your 3 starting lads that haven't specialised yet. They're there as the first signature responsibility, and then they will go on to progress in what they want to specialise in. So that's a small flight that will go on maybe a helicopter on the back of a 23 or a destroyer, and that'll be it. Whereas the squadron I'm working with now, we've got 208 people on 617 Squadron, which is the Dam Busters, and we'll deploy 200 people onto the aircraft carrier, take 10 jets, and operate that way. So it can change from 20 people to 200, depending on what the force wants us to do.
So right, so it's quite a big group of people. I wasn't sure how many you but
it can be, especially working with the States a lot. especially now we've got this F-35, they come on board. We operate with quite an efficient small force, I'd like to say, and the United States tend to double what we bring with the same amount of stuff. That's just the American way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
more personnel. That's why they need the big aircraft carriers, because they've got that many people to take on them. Correct. Fantastic. Just one last question from me. If you weren't doing this, is there any other kind of career path that you'd thought of, or anything you kind of think?
That's a good question. I studied engineering in school, so I've always had an eye for engineering. I like the challenges it brings, the problem solving, the attention to detail. It's kind of how my brain works. So I'd probably look at pursuing engineering, if not in the forces, the civil aviation industry, which I might go on to after I've kind of done this chapter of my life. Potentially trains, cars. The great thing with engineering is that once you've got that foundation of principles in place, you can then take it onto any other platform, and the same engineering principles apply. So it's a great platform, especially for young people who don't really know what they want to do, to get into a career, get the qualifications, and then you can go and pursue other stuff.
Sure.
I'm looking at working with Bentley potentially in the future, Rolls-Royce. The train industry offer great opportunities for us, ex-forces. Because you've not got experience in that field, because you've got that base level of engineering principles, you're very employable.
Yes, transferable skills are already there.
Exactly, yeah. So it's a really good opportunity to start off, if you're not sure what you want to do, to then decipher further on where you want to end up.
I mean, I suppose from a school point of view, or a pupil point of view, if you want to go down that kind of path in terms of engineering, I suppose the things you need to do are focus on your maths, your science, like physics, so your STEM subjects.
Yes,
as well as like practical.
They will definitely help you. Yeah.
Fantastic. Tony, that's been great. Well, thanks ever so much for spending some time, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, Neil. Thanks very much.
Cheers. Take care.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.